We acknowledge that the Northern Rockies Administration Center is located in the heart of the traditional territory of the Dene, Cree, and Dunezaw peoples of Fort Nelson, Prophet River First Nations. And we further recognize the rights provided by our treaty. And finally, we recognize the enduring presence of the Métis people in our nation. Please be advised that today's meeting is available for the public to attend virtually and is being streamed and recorded. Are there any council additions? Any CAO additions, staff? Thank you. Adoption of the agenda, please. So moved by Councillor Dickey, second by Councillor Roper. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have a petition today from Alan Bowen, our auditor. He's here to present the financial statements. I'm to understand that this is normally done in camera by this council. That's been the past practice. So to have the discussion about that, I'd accept a resolution to go in camera for that, please.
I'll make the resolution.
Moved by Councillor Roper, second by Councillor Dickey. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We will go in camera and have a discussion about whether we should be in camera. Thank you. Thank you. So we have finished with 5.1. For now, there's no report to rise with at this moment. There will be an open meeting with respect to the financial statements at a later date.
Typically, I think Alan will walk through that now. You'll actually walk through the actual document.
Okay.
It's a bit of a repeat as well, it is, Mayor. So it is, sorry for the confusion, but it took me a while to figure out too back in the day.
All right. So 5.1, the delegation is still here. Mr. Bowen, please proceed.
Perfect. So I want to thank Mayor and Council for providing me the time to appear and present the auditor's report on behalf of Santa Rosa Bone Grindle, my accounting firm. For those that don't know, I'm one of the partners with Santa Rosa Bone Grindle, and I'd just like to thank everybody for their time. At this point, what I would like to do is present the auditor's report. The auditor's report represents our independent report that the financial statements being provided by management have not been materially misstated. I'm not going to go through word for word on the report, but I am going to read a lot of it to give an overview of our audit opinion. So to begin with, we have audited the financial statements for Northern Rockies Regional Municipality, which comprise the statement of financial position as at December 31st, 2022, the statement of operations, statement of cash flow, and statement of net change in financial assets for the year then ended, and the notes to this financial statements. This includes the summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of Northern Rockies Regional Municipality as at December 31st, 2022, and the results of its operations and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for public sector. We conducted our audit in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards. We are independent of the municipality and in accordance with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of the financial statements in Canada. And we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with those requirements. We have included an emphasis of matter paragraph, so I'd like to draw your attention to note 1 to the financial statements, which explains that certain comparative information presented in the year ended December 31st, 2022, or sorry, December 2021 has been restated. Our opinion is not modified in this respect of this matter. Management is responsible for the presentation and preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with PSAS. And for such internal controls as management deems necessary to enable the preparation of the financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an audit report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is high level of assurance, but not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards will always detect a material misstatements. As part of our audit, in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform our procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis of our opinion. We obtain an understanding of the internal controls relevant to the audit in order to design our audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstance, but not for the purpose of expressing opinion on the effectiveness of the municipality's internal controls. We evaluate the appropriateness of the accounting policies used and the reasonableness of the estimates and related disclosures made by management. We conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of going concern basis of accounting based on the evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to the events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the municipality's ability to continue as a going concern. We evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves fairness in presentation. And we communicate those charged with governance, among other matters, the planning, scope, and timing of our audit. So I would like to make a couple of comments on some of the words and terminologies that are used in that auditor's report. One of which is the identification of fraud. We did not detect any fraud during the audit. It's not a primary purpose of the audit, but we are mindful and remain and maintain skepticism to ensure that give us every best opportunity to discover it. But due to the nature of fraud, it's intended to mislead us. So that's why that's brought up in the auditor's report. And then the other comments that are in the auditor's report that I'd like to give additional communication on is just the terminology is going concern. We record, as accountants, we record everything on a historical basis with the idea that those assets will be used to discharge future liabilities through the normal course of operations. Well, if operations is going to cease, then we have to look at revaluating everything on a liquidation value, not on a going concern value, which is why that is specifically highlighted in there. Very unlikely that would be any other manner for a municipality, but I guess it could be possible. Okay. From this point, I'd just like to ask whether or not you'd like me to do the high-level overview of the financial statements, or ask Trevor to present anything from his financial statements.
In interest of the fact that we've got 3 councillors missing, I would like to see us do this when we got a full house. We can run the tape of what you've got, but perhaps Trevor, I just don't think we have everybody should hear this. And I just don't think that we have everybody here. When do these have to be accepted? These have to be accepted by Monday?
15th is the deadline.
I guess we're really only short two, since we have Councillor Gerwing online, so.
Andrews, Enax, and 3.
Oh,
We're
and
missing
Souls.
3.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good
So
point.
it's like, and I haven't had a chance to read through them like Councillor Gerwing. I'd like that opportunity at least over the weekend. So how would you like to proceed? Because I really don't. I mean, I'm open to listen to what everybody has to say, but I really don't feel like I'm ready to accept them. And so if we're going to say this again when everybody's here, there's no sense saying it now. Like that's the point I'm trying to make, I guess. Does anybody else agree with that?
I'm comfortable with recommendations that our internal accountant has. And if there were anything that needs to be brought to our attention, if it was brought to our attention, but if they have to be approved by Monday, how would they get approved?
We've got to do another meeting Monday.
I can't make Mondays, so I'm comfortable as well, based on what I've read and heard to date. Otherwise, I'm not available on Monday.
Are you available on the weekend?
Seriously? Not really. I could maybe do something on Saturday, but definitely not Sunday.
For me, is there a concern about the adoption or just the information for, because we could bring back the bin report.
All right, let's,
outlining stuff, and
let's-
again, that's,
Let's ask Alan we can tape what Alan says today and we play it for the others.
So, sorry, I didn't catch that.
So I guess what I'm saying is I want the other 3 councillors to hear what you have to say with respect to the rest of the audit. I mean, we've captured everything that you've said so far on tape.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to have to repeat that for all of us at another meeting unless the 3 councillors that are here besides me are prepared to go ahead and accept the financial statements. But yeah, I just didn't want to double up on that time. But so if you want to go ahead and finish what you have to say, we can show the rest of the councillors. If we decide to do another meeting, we can show them in tape.
Sure.
So whatever you'd like to do to finish off the rest of your report.
So my presentation of the auditor's report is complete. I would, and that would be up to yourself and the rest of the council if they would like Trevor to go into some detail on the numbers at this point in time. But my job was to present the auditor's report.
All right, thank you. What are staff's wishes, or sorry, council's wishes? Would you like Trevor to go now, or what would you like?
Sorry, Mary, I'm not entirely sure what your question is. Like, if you're asking me if I'm willing right now to approve the auditor's statement as presented, then I would say yes. Is that what the question is, or?
Yeah, I guess that's what the question is do we need to continue today listening to staff if it's our intent to bring the other councillors in? You know, we'd just be doubling up on the time is what we've been doing and making Trevor explain what he feels or make a presentation to us again if we wanted to see that these statements were financial statements were put in front of the rest of the councillors before we accepted them. But we do have quorum. If there's if there's willingness to accept these here, then we can just continue with Trevor and we can move forward, I suppose. So I hear you saying that you're prepared to accept them. So I'm not sure about the rest, whether you want to wait for the other councillors or whether you want to proceed.
I'm prepared to accept them and then, but I would recommend that we put it back on the agenda so that the other council members have a detailed report of it. But if there's no outstanding issues or anything pertinent to the statements that are going to be highlighted, then I'm prepared to accept them as they are with follow-up at a future meeting. Because what I would like to do is go over the adjustment for the surplus, like a good report on that once that's done.
Yeah, and I don't know that that'll be ready before Monday.
It won't be ready before Monday, but we do need to have these approved by Monday.
We could work to have the draft minutes of the in-camera ready, so that if the council members absent have a desire to review them, they can.
I think the key piece with the financial statements is from an auditing perspective, which is the reason Alan's here, is to, just outline if there are any concerns with the financials themselves. And because the farther you get into the weeds, there's gonna be a lot more questions because of the technical perspective of it, right? In terms of, and with all due respect, I mean, with the exception of the two people, one in a room and one online that has a designation, the rest of us aren't accountants, and it can get very technical and complex when you get into trying to understand the math. In terms of discussion or Q&A regarding any items in the financial statements, I mean, if council was prepared to adopt them because they are required to be adopted till or by the 15th, and the reason for the delay, or one of the reasons for the delay, was a lot of the discussion that occurred regarding that piece was back and forth with Trevor and Alan trying to peel back that onion from an accountant's perspective to understand how to move forward, right? Mm-hmm. Which could be a very lengthy process because the more rocks you kick, the more rocks you might find with regards to change in requirements in accounting law or general accounting principles and whatnot. So if council was comfortable adopting the financials by the date, then we can for sure bring back information, update council on that, and Trevor can spend as much time as required to answer whatever questions council wishes. Right? That can be done. But again, that's entirely up to you.
And it's in hindsight. What happens if we don't adopt them on Monday?
We're not able to meet our legislative requirements to submit them to the province.
And what would happen?
There's a couple of things that I'm aware of. The MFA requires us to meet those deadlines to support their own internal activities, and we do have outstanding MFA debt. There may be other consequences as well. One thing that I could offer is to reach out to the province and ask for an extension. I'm not sure if that's something that's offered.
I'm just having trouble with the fairness of this. I really am, with respect to council receiving this really in the last hour and having to accept them with some, I think, some significant discussion we've had in the last hour without the rest of the council understanding what we've talked about. And so I just see a fairness issue. We are responsible for these. Ultimately, we're responsible. We've got good professional advice. I get that. But that we have had significant discussion that I think three of the councillors haven't had. And I'm having this trouble with fairness. But I'll really leave it to you guys with respect to what you want to do. If someone wants to put a motion on the floor.
Yeah, I'm going to put a motion on the floor to accept the financial statements as presented, to adopt them.
Is there a seconder? Second by Councillor Dickey. Is there further discussion? I've said my piece. Councillor Gruing, is there anything else that you'd like to say with respect to these?
No, I'm comfortable. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. All in favor? Opposed? I'm opposed, and I'd like that recorded, please. That passes. Okay. Next in line is the partnership request, admin report 2923 FCC AgriSpirited Fund for decision. So if staff would like to speak to this, please.
Could I just interrupt?
Sure.
I'm running short of time. Sorry, everyone. So is this something that has to be dealt with today, or can I understand we need to deal with the tax rate bylaw, but is 6.1 something that could be put off for another meeting?
We could do it by email poll, I suppose, but the deadline for those applications is also Monday. And we were delivered an application package yesterday from one of the groups that is noted in the report. Just a reminder, not only the tax rate bylaw needs to be adopted, but council needs to consider the hospital district. I guess there's no deadline for that one, so we could always defer the hospital district meeting if we lose quorum today and reschedule it for another week.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just really up against the wall here, so I guess I'm asking for council's cooperation in moving forward the pieces that have to get moved forward today, and we'll try to stay on as long as I possibly can.
Okay, we'll do 6.1 and 6.2, and we'll defer the special meeting for the hospital district.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would staff like to talk about the partnership, because it is really today's the last day, so.
Hi, Mayor and Council. So this was a funding opportunity that was identified to help offset costs related to community agriculture initiatives. There's been 2 applicants or nonprofit organizations in the community expressing interest in applying to the fund. Nonprofits are only eligible to apply if in partnership with a governing body who agrees to receive the funds. There is no expectation for the NRM if they agree to partner. There's no expectation for the NRM to manage the funds, but to hold them, to receive them. And the NRM would be expected to enter into the funding agreement, however, and partnership demonstrate support of the project. The applicants were the Community Garden Society and the Senior Citizen Society. Potential applicants, I should say.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council? So the recommendation would be to it's two requests to partner, right? So the recommendation would be to partner with the Community Garden Society and to partner with the Senior Citizens Society separately to further this grant request.
Yes, right. Council's direction is being sought and whether council is in favor of being the partner to receive the funds. It is noted that applicants to the funds are in a competition against each other regionally, so that is a consideration. But yeah, to determine if council would be in favor of entering into that partnership agreement is necessary before further work in applying to the program.
Right. So I guess my question was, do we need 1 resolution or 2? 1 for each, or will 1 for both cover it?
I think a resolution, if council's amenable, a resolution to enter into a contract support with a local nonprofit who may be successful to this program. Because they may both, it's unlikely they'd both be successful. So
you're just speaking, we're just speaking, we're making the resolution in general, okay, rather specific.
Yeah.
Rather than being specific to either one of these. Yeah. Okay, is there anybody who'd like to make that resolution? So moved by Councillor Dickey that the Northern Rockies partner and support this grant application and partner with one of the nonprofits if they're successful. Can I have a seconder for that?
I'll second.
Second by Councillor Roper. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That carries. In front of us is the tax rate bylaw 2016-2023 to be adopted. Comments from staff?
Thank you, Mayor. No comments, no changes this time around.
No changes. So 3rd reading stands the way it is. We're ready for adoption. Is there anybody who would like to move adoption?
I'll move adoption.
Moved by Councillor Roper, second by Councillor Dickey that we adopt the tax rate bylaw 216-2023. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. All right, there is no business that I see there. Adjournment is in order. Moved
Make the
by
motion.
Councilor Roper, second by Councilor Dickey. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. We will find another date for the special meeting of the Hospital Foundation, who received their books or their financial statements. Thank you very much. Thank you, Council Gerwin, for sticking around. Did she drop off?